Earlier this year, President Donald Trump declared that the conflict with Iran could only end with what he called Iran's unconditional surrender. But just a few months later, events appear to have taken a very different turn. A preliminary agreement between the Trump administration and Iran has triggered intense debate across Washington. Conservative Republicans and foreign policy hawks argue that the deal amounts to a major concession by the United States. Conservative commentator Eric Erickson went as far as to say, Trump has surrendered to Iran. Texas Senator Ted Cruz also criticized the agreement, warning that providing billions of dollars to a regime hostile to the United States would be a serious mistake. According to critics, the deal would allow Iran to regain access to hundreds of billions of dollars in previously restricted funds. Iran could also receive an estimated $300 billion reconstruction package and gain limited authority to collect fees from commercial shipping passing through the Strait of Hormuz in the future. However, some analysts argue that these criticisms miss the bigger issue. In their view, the real mistake was not ending the war, but entering it in the first place. They argue that a prolonged conflict would have resulted in even greater loss of life, further damage to the global economy, and significant political consequences for Republicans ahead of upcoming elections. President Trump himself defended the agreement, saying that without a deal, bombing campaigns could have continued for weeks, or even years, without reopening the Strait of Hormuz. He added that he wanted to avoid a global economic crisis. Many observers believe that the United States entered negotiations from a position of weakness after failing to achieve its objectives on the battlefield. As a result, Iran was able to exert significant influence during the talks. Analysts also point to the 2015 nuclear agreement reached during the Obama administration. Under that deal, Iran agreed to ship out most of its enriched uranium and accept extensive international inspections. President Trump withdrew from that agreement in 2018, arguing that he could negotiate a better deal. Critics now contend that the situation has become even more complicated and that the new agreement leaves key questions about Iran's nuclear program unresolved. Some experts fear that the conflict may ultimately encourage Iran to pursue nuclear weapons more aggressively in the future. The human and financial costs of the war have also been substantial. Estimates suggest that thousands of people have been killed, including 13 American service members. When long-term expenses such as military repairs, replacement of equipment, and care for wounded veterans are included, the total cost could approach $1 trillion. Critics argue that these resources could have been invested in education, healthcare, or humanitarian programs, instead of another costly conflict in the Persian Gulf. Perhaps the greatest burden has fallen on ordinary Iranians. Despite the end of active fighting, many continue to live under political repression and economic hardship. For that reason, some analysts conclude that Trump's decision to step back from the conflict is not the real tragedy. The true tragedy, they argue, was a war that may never have been necessary in the first place.